until I saw the Ahmaud Arbery video. Sorry guys, there's a bird fight going on. They are getting down. I don't know what's happening, but birds up there fighting. So if you hear noise in the background, I apologize. But you know, that video woke me up. Up until then, I was afraid of owning a gun. See, growing up for me, gun ownership always had a negative connotation to it. Either you were a drug dealer, you were committing a crime, or you flashed it as a sign of dominance or machoism, if that's even a word. And so, you know, I was always kind of taught to keep guns at a distance. They were dangerous. You know, you don't want to play with them. They can do a lot of harm, which is very, very true. But I was never taught about, or on the other side of the coin, I was never shown about the positive sides of owning a firearm. Owning a firearm responsibly and legally and for self-defense. And so my entire childhood and most of my adulthood up until this point had this stigma about firearm ownership that, you know what, you know, it's bad. You know, you hear the shootings in schools and, you know, people going to concerts and, you know, just opening fire, people in movie theaters. And, you know, I was so, for a long time, I was so wrapped up in, you know, trying to legislate out, you know, guns. You know, we need to get rid of the AR-15s. We need to get rid of, you know, the high-powered assault rifles, things like that. And so, you know, that was my mentality. So I was like, yeah, we need stricter gun laws. But after kind of going on this journey, which I've only been on for maybe 2 or 3 months, I quickly realized that the more you legislate out guns, the more you legislate out the good people, the responsible people that will go through the steps to own a gun legally. The bad people, if they want to get a gun and they're intent on doing harm, you know what? They're going to get that gun. Whether they get it illegally off the street, or they borrow it from a family member or a friend, or they rob somebody else who has a gun so they can have more in their arsenal, they're going to get those illegally anyway. So the more stricter you make the gun laws, the more you weed out the people who try to own firearms responsibly, or the good people. Now, you can't 100% make you know, a system that's going to weed out every single person that's intent on doing harm, because you have people who will go through the process of obtaining firearms legally and still might have intentions on doing harm. But the more you legislate, the more you take away that opportunity for responsible people to be able to strap up, if you want to say, and defend against those who aren't responsible. And so it really opened my eyes, guys, to a whole nother world when I saw that video, and I actually dove into educating myself. Because for me, and I think like a lot of us who maybe are against guns, and this is who this video is for people who are against guns, who don't like the idea of having a gun in the house, especially if you have kids. I have kids in my house, you know, a teenager and 2 elementary age kids. And so I was always, you know, taught, you know, it's dangerous. You don't want it around them. Again, bad things can happen. You know, but the 2 things that held me back was the fear of guns and the lack of education. Well, guess what? Once I dove into educating myself, I was able to learn the whole other side of the coin. That reduced and took away my fear of having one. And so after that video came out, I went to a relative who's a former law enforcement officer, and he had been talking to me over the past couple years about it. And I said, hey, let's go to a gun store. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's go. I need you to come with me. And I had no intention of buying anything, or I was prepared if I found something that was good, but I had no intention. But I went with him, and I just asked questions. I saw a video on YouTube right before I went, and they said, hey, if you're new, don't worry about buying right now, but just go and ask questions. So that's what I did. I took him with me. We asked questions, and we were in the store maybe for about an hour. And right before we were about to leave, the sales associate who left, he came back and said, hey, we just got a stock of used guns. And I think one might be great for you if you're using it for personal self-defense. It was the M&P Shield 9, the original version, 9mm version. And he's like, it's used. It was $225, and you should come check it out. So I went over, checked it out, and another sales associate that we knew, he saw it, and he's you know took it apart, was looking at it, you know, racked it, you know, was checking it out. He's like, man, the magazine holder. He said, man, this is It's a really good condition gun. He said, I have this same gun and I use it as my everyday carry, or EDC. And so my relative who went with me, he, checked it out too. He said, man, that's a pretty good deal. Well, what do I have to lose? $225 is not like $10, but it's not like I'm spending, $2,000. So I bought it. I said, you know what? Let's take a roll of dice and buy it. And if it turns out to be not so good, then I'm not broke at the end of the day. And so bought it. Had to wait 5 days because I didn't have my concealed carry at the time, and it went in and picked it up the next weekend, and I ended up, I didn't have any ammo. I didn't have a case. I didn't have a holster or anything, but I knew buying it, my intentions was to eventually conceal carry. So I'll talk about that in another video. I'll show you guys my setup. I'll kind of talk about the cost of owning a firearm. I also talk about some of the insurances. So you got self-defense insurance out there in case you ever need it. I'll talk about my permit process and how I went through that. I'll talk about some of the clubs and memberships you can join to, obviously have a community around you that actually tries to be responsible and legal in owning guns and training and practicing. And I'll also talk about some of the practicing as well and how important that is. So again, I'm new to this, and this video is for those who are on the fence and thinking about, venturing into the firearm world, and for those who, or maybe those who are completely against it. I would just say, just listen, open your eyes, just give yourself a chance to be educated on it. Don't just completely rule it out, because at the end of the day, it is a Second Amendment right that we all have, no matter what color, race, or where background. Obviously, you have if you're a legal U.S. citizen, this is your Second Amendment right. So anyway, I wanted to make this video, and hopefully this encourages some of you guys. But going back to the original question, the original point, that Ahmaud Arbery case, it changed me. That video, it changed me. The only thing that ran through my mind was, man, if this young man had a concealed carry, he would have at least had a fighting chance. Who knows if he would have won the battle, but he would have had a fighting chance. And that got me thinking, I need to give myself and my family a fighting chance as well. More videos to come, guys. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Peace.